Hello friends, welcome back to another video. In the previous class, we discussed Lycidas by John Milton, which got published in 1638. It is a pastoral elegy written in memory of Milton's friend from Cambridge, Edward King, who was also a poet. He drowned in the Irish Sea in 1637, and the poem got published in 1638. The poem was republished in 1645. So, in the poem, we can see a speaker mourning the death of his childhood friend, a shepherd named Lycidas, who was also a poet. So, a speaker has come to pluck berries from laurels and myrtles untimely before they ripen because Lycidas has encountered an untimely death, and he feels that it is his duty to write a proper elegy so that Lycidas receives the recognition that he deserves. So the speaker invokes the muses. He wants the muses to give him poetic inspiration so that he is able to write a good elegy. He goes on describing his life with Lycidas. They used to take the flocks to the pastures even before sunrise, and they used to work together till the evening. They used to write poetry, they used to compose songs and play music in flute. He thinks that even the nature is mourning the death of Lycidas. So let's continue our discussion. Where were ye nymphs when the remorseless deep closed over the head of your loved Lycidas? For neither were ye playing on the steep, where your old bards, the famous druids lie, nor on the shaggy top of Mona high, nor yet where Diva spreads her wizard's tree. So the speaker wonders, where were the nymphs, the guardian angels, or the mythical fairies were when Lycidas drowned in the remorseless deep. Remorseless deep here refers to the ocean or the Irish seas. So you people were supposed to take care of Lycidas. You were there to protect. You were supposed to protect Lycidas, but you were not there. For neither were ye playing on the steep where your old bards, the famous druids, lie, nor on the shaggy top of Mona high, nor yet where Diva spreads her wizard's tree. See, I looked for you in all these places. You were not to be found in places where the famous druid. Druid is a Celtic priest. You are nowhere to be found near places where the druids rest. You are not there. Nor on the shaggy top of Mona High. Mona High is a mythical island. So you are not in the island too. Not yet where Diva spreads her wizard stream. Wizard stream is a magical river. So Diva is River Dee, which flows between Wales and England. So the poet says that you are not near River Dee, which is a magical river. You are not there too. So where have you been? You were supposed to take care of Lycidas. You did not do your duty properly. So we continue. I fondly dream, had you been there, for what could that have done? So the specialty of this poem is that out of his emotional outburst, the speaker blunts out a lot of things. And again, when he comes back to reality, he regrets making those comments. So again, he regrets criticizing the nymphs for the death of Lycidas because he realizes that even if the nymphs were present, they wouldn't have been able to protect Lycidas. Why? What makes him think so? Let's find out. What could the muse herself that Orpheus bore, the muse herself for her enchanting son, whom universal nature did lament, but by the rout that made the hideous roar, his gory visage down the stream was sent, down the swift Hebrews to the Lesbian shore. Here we have an allusion to mythology once again. When the mythological character Orpheus was slaughtered to death, his mother, Muse Calliope, she did not prevent it. Since a mother could not prevent the death of her son, it is obvious that the nymphs wouldn't have been able to save Lycidas. So, what had happened to Orpheus? His gory visage down the stream was sent down the swift Hebrews to the Lesbian shore. He was forced to float away with his face down to the water. He floated away in the river Hebrew through the shores of Lesbos. We continue with the poem. Alas, what boots it with the incessant care to tend the homely, slighted shepherd's trade and strictly meditate the thankless muse? Alas, the line starts with an exclamation. Again, the speaker is undergoing some overwhelming emotions. What boots it with incessant care to tend the homely, slighted shepherd's trade? He thinks it is useless to continue his work of a shepherd and strictly meditate the thankless muse. He thinks it is no use to continue being a shepherd and continue writing poetry, thinking about a muse who really doesn't care about the speaker or his friend. Were it not better done, as others use, to sport with amaryllis in the shade or with the tangles of Niara's hair? The speaker thinks it is better to engage in pleasurable activities, like to get engaged with Amaryllis. Amaryllis is a shepherdess from the eclogues of Virgil, or with the tangles of Niara's hair, or to play with the hair of Niara. Niara is a nymph from Virgil's eclogues once again. The speaker thinks it is better to engage in activities that delight you than be a hardworking shepherd and a good poet. Fame is the spur that the clear spirit doth raise, that last infirmity of noble mind, to scorn delights and live laborious days. Here the speaker makes a comment. Since we human beings are too much interested in gaining fame or gaining popularity, we are forced to live laborious days and scorn delights. We are forced to give up all the pleasures in life and we are forced to work really hard. But what is the problem of working hard? He continues, but the fair guerdon when we hope to find and think to burst out into sudden blaze, comes the blind fury with abhorred shears and slits the thin spun life. Guerdon refers to a reward or a recompense. Just when we think that, okay, I'm going to get rewarded for all the work that I have done in my life, what happens? Comes the blind fury with the abhorred shears and slits the thin spun life. Just when we are going to burst out into flames of fame, just when we are going to get international fame, what happens? There comes the blind fury. Who is the blind fury here? The fate or destiny. It comes to us with its much hated shears. Shear is a blade that is used to shave the sheep. So with its hated blade, it comes and slits the thin spun life. It just takes our life from us. It just kills us. Just as our fame killed Edward King, who was supposed to be a good poet, who deserved a lot more recognition. So that's what happens with our life. So yes, but not the praise. Okay, Phoebus replied and touched my trembling ears. Fame is no plant that grows on mortal soil, nor in the glistering foil set off to the world, nor in broad rumor lies, but lives and spreads aloft by those pure eyes, and perfect witness of all judging Jove, as he pronounces lastly on each deed, of so much fame in heaven expect I made. So the speaker is undergoing an emotional outburst. He is lamenting the death of his friend and he is actually criticizing everyone out there. So listening to all his criticism, someone replies to him. Who is that? But not the praise, says Phoebus. So who is Phoebus? Phoebus is the Greek god Apollo. Phoebus is his Roman name. Phoebus is the god of sun, music and poetry. So listening to all the criticism, all the allegations that the speaker is making, Phoebus decides to respond to him. What does Phoebus say? But not the praise, Phoebus replied, and touched my trembling ears. Fame is no plant that grows on mortal soil, nor in the glistering foil. Phoebus thinks it is not the praise of the people that decide your reward at the time of your death. The praise is just a glistering foil. A foil is a silver lining, an illusion, something that is superficial, So the superficial praises that you receive from the world, it has nothing to do with how you will be treated in your afterlife. Then what matters the most? Set off to the world, nor in the broad rumor lies, but lives and spreads aloft by those pure eyes. Whose pure eyes are we talking about? And perfect witness of all judging Jove, as he pronounces lastly on each deed, of so much fame in heaven expect thy meed. Your actions on earth, your good deeds are being judged by the all judging pure eyes out there in heaven. We are talking about Jove, who is considered as the king of all gods and equivalent to Zeus. He is a Roman god. So Jove is watching you from heaven. So he has finalized all suitable rewards for your good deeds on earth. So just don't care about the praises that you receive from earth. Please take no notice of the rumors they spread about you. What matters is the pure eyes of Job, and he has decided to give proper reward for your good deeds on earth, says Phoebus. So yet again we continue with the poem. O fountain Artheus, and thou honoured fled, smooth sliding Menecius, crowned with vocal reeds, that strain I heard was a higher mode. Notice the use of a poetic device apostrophe here. The speaker is directly addressing the fountain Artheus and the river Menecius. He tells him that whatever Phoebus said is too difficult to understand. It is too much for a shepherd, it is too much for pastoral poetry, says the speaker. But now my ode proceeds and listens to the herald of the sea. There came in Neptune's plea. He asked the waves and asked the feline winds, what hard mishap had doomed this gentle sway? So he says that, but now my ode proceeds. So in the previous lines we saw that they were using the flutes made out of oat stems. So he is continuing his song using the flute of oat. And as he proceeds to sing, he listens to the herald of the sea that came in Neptune's plea. So who is the herald of the sea? It refers to the mythical character Triton, who is a merman, the opposite gender of a mermaid. So he has come with the plea of Neptune. So since Neptune is the sea god, he is to be blamed for the drowning of Lycidas. So in order to support Neptune, there comes the herald of the sea, the character Triton. So what does Triton ask? He asked the waves and asked the feline winds, what hard mishap had doomed this gentle swain? Triton comes over and he wonders what actually happened with this swain. Swain means a lover. Why was he doomed? What is that bad luck that affected him? He asked the waves and the feline winds. Feline here is cruel winds. And questioned every gust of rugged wings that blows from each peaked promontory. They knew not of his story. So he went on questioning the waves. He questioned the winds. He also questioned the wings, the birds that blows from off each beaked promontory. Promontory is a piece of land that protrudes to the sea. They knew not of her story. So the birds, the winds, and the waves could not answer his questions. So who came with the answer? And sage Hippodates, their answer brings, that not a blast was from his dungeon straight. The air was calm and on the level brine. Sleek Penelope with all her sisters played. It was that fatal and perfidious bark, built in the eclipse and rigged with curses dark, that sung so low that the sacred head of Time. So again, Hippodates is a mythical character. He is considered as the god of winds. He comes with the answer. The waves, the feline winds, and the wings could not answer the questions of Triton. Hippodates, the god of winds, comes with the answer that not a blast was from his dungeon straight. The air was calm and on the level bright. He says, it is not the wind that drowned the ship. The weather was actually really calm. Sleek Penelope with all her sisters played. Even the sea nymph Penelope, she was not there. She was playing with her sisters. Then what went wrong? It was that fatal and perfidious bark, built in the eclipse and rigged with curses dark, that sung so low and sacred head of time. See, it was because the bark here refers to the ship. The ship was perfidious, it was deceitful. It was built during the eclipse and it was loaded with curses. It was doomed. The ship was doomed to be sunk. And thus, this caused the drowning of Lycidas. This caused the death of Edward King. Says Hippolytus, who is the god of winds, to the question of Triton. So we continue. Next, Camus, reverend sire, when fooling slow, his mantle hairy and his bonnet sedge, inwrought with figures dim and on the edge, like to that sanguine flower inscribed with woe. Ah, who hath reft, quoth he, my dearest, pledge. So the poet is personifying, the speaker is personifying a river here, Camus, the river Cam, which runs through Cambridge. It comes like a reverend sire, like a sage, wearing an academic gown, a mantle hairy, an academic gown, and his bonnet sedge, inwrought with figures dim and on the edge, like that sanguine flower inscribed with woe. It is full of despair for the death of Lycidas, like the hyacinth flower. Again, there is a mythical story related with the hyacinth flower. It is considered to be full of pain and despair for death. So just like the hyacinth flower, there comes the river Cam, and it asks the question, who hath reft? Quoth he, my dearest pledge, who took away? My dear Lycidas, asks the river.